The old sedan rattled to a stop on the shoulder of the quiet road, its hood smoking faintly. Ethan pulled his pickup truck just behind it and sighed. He'd been on his way home from the grocery store, milk, bread, and Lily's favorite cereal stacked in the back seat. But years of habit made it impossible for him to drive past someone stranded. "Stay here, kiddo," he told Lily gently. His 6-year-old daughter nodded, her legs swinging as she sat perched on the tailgate, hugging her worn-out doll. A woman stood beside the sedan, pacing nervously, her phone clutched in her hand as though she'd been trying to figure out who to call. Her expression softened when she spotted Ethan, though embarrassment flickered in her eyes. I'm sorry to bother you," she stammered, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "I think it's the tire. I was going to call roadside assistance, but they said it could take hours and I don't know what I'm doing." Ethan knelt by the car, rolling up his sleeves as the sun dipped lower in the sky, painting everything gold. "No trouble," he assured her, his voice calm, steady. "Let's take a look. We'll have you back on the road before dark." As he worked, his hands steady from years of fixing everything life broke, he felt her watching him. Not with judgment, but with a kind of quiet gratitude that made him uncomfortable and oddly hopeful all at once. While Ethan loosened the bolts on the tire, Lily slipped off the tailgate and plopped down on the curb near the stranger. She held up her doll, the fabric faded and one arm stitched clumsily back on. "This is Rosie," Lily announced proudly. "She's been to the park, to Grandma's, and even to the hospital once when Daddy got sick. She's brave." The woman's lips curved into a soft smile as she crouched down to Lily's level. "She sounds like she's had quite the adventures. I think Rosie might be tougher than most grown-ups I know." Lily giggled, the sound like bells in the warm evening air. She leaned closer, instantly at ease, her small hand brushing against the woman's arm as though they'd known each other forever. From where he worked, Ethan looked up and saw them laughing together. Something in his chest tightened, something he hadn't felt in years. Lily rarely warmed up to strangers, not since her mother passed. Seeing her trust so easily and laugh so freely made him pause. When he tightened the last bolt and stood, wiping his greasy hands on a rag, he found both of them mid-laughter, ache. And the woman, this stranger, was looking at his daughter with an expression so tender, so natural, it made Ethan forget for a second that they'd only just met. Ethan tightened the last bolt, then gave the tire a firm tug to be sure it was secure. He stood, brushing dust from his jeans, and let out a slow breath. "All right," he said, turning to the woman with a small smile. "You should be good to drive now. Just get that tire looked at properly tomorrow." The woman's shoulders sagged with relief, her eyes shining. I don't know how to thank you," she said softly. "You didn't have to stop, but you did. Most people would have just kept driving." Ethan shrugged lightly, though there was a quiet sincerity in his tone. "My daughter's watching. I want her to grow up knowing we help when we can." Lily, who had been sitting cross-legged near the curb, suddenly hopped up and tugged on her father's sleeve. Her wide eyes turned toward the woman, studying her with a seriousness far beyond her years. Then in a voice clear and innocent she asked, "Daddy, can she be my mommy?" The world seemed to pause. Ethan's breath caught, his smile faltering. The woman's lips parted in surprise, her hand instinctively moving to her chest as though to hold her heart still. Her eyes softened, filling with something unspoken. Ethan crouched quickly, brushing a strand of hair from Lily's face, his throat tight. "Sweetheart," he began, but the words tangled. How could he explain to a 6-year-old that you couldn't just choose family with a single question, when deep inside, he longed for exactly that? The woman knelt down in front of Lily, her eyes gentle, her voice trembling slightly. "That's a very big question, sweetheart." She tucked a strand of hair behind Lily's ear, her smile tender. "You know mommies aren't something you can just pick like toys at the store." Lily tilted her head, thoughtful but insistent. "But you make Daddy smile." "He doesn't smile much." The word struck like a lightning bolt. Ethan froze, his chest tightening as if his daughter had peeled away the shield he kept around his heart. He met the woman's gaze, and for a moment, all the years of loneliness, of carrying everything alone, were reflected back at him. The woman's eyes glistened, and she looked at Ethan with something he hadn't seen in so long. Understanding. Not pity, not awkward sympathy. Just a quiet, shared recognition of what it meant to be broken but still moving forward. Ethan swallowed hard, blinking against the sting in his eyes. He placed a steadying hand on Lily's shoulder. Maybe, he said slowly, his voice rough but hopeful. Maybe some questions don't need answers right away. The woman gave him a small, trembling smile. Her own heart caught between hesitation and something dangerously close to hope. For that moment, under the fading light of the day, they weren't just a stranger, a man and his little girl. They were something else, something fragile, unspoken but real. A possibility